Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I am here, thank God, with limited time, which means I can't talk forever. Today's the 25th of September, 2025. I had a very exciting chat about Venezuela. The information I got from my sources that are spiritual was that if Venezuela does not self correct by tomorrow, the 26th at 7 at night, they're not going to make the transition well. And that Venezuela is extremely important, having to do with planet Earth. So I'm going to say some things now simply because there really is no time for me to wrestle with your belief system. I have read for a long time that planet Earth needs to be on track and centered, whatever it is that means, because whatever happens in planet Earth is going to affect a series of other planets, and it's going to determine the path of the galaxy. Sounds like Star Wars. Awful lot of Star Wars is absolutely true, and we should pay attention and see it again. Planet Earth has not been doing well, but the country that takes the lead in self-correcting, let's say, bad behavior or mistaken paths right now, right before this endpoint, is Venezuela. Venezuela is angelic consciousness, and that's a problem because angelic consciousness don't really know how to exercise power. Now, who else do we know that is angelic consciousness? Is Trump. But he was trained since he was a child because his parents had a lot of power. I think he misbehaved at some point and they sent him to military school. I'm not 100% sure that's accurate, but I think I've read it in a couple places. That kind of would make sense. His natural abilities would have not made him the type of person that would normally take to having power and wielding it. But Venezuela is a country full of angelics, and they contend to be very victim, and they have not used their power because of their consciousness. So today I gave a very long chat in which I read them the Riot Act, and I told them several tendencies that they have as a country that needs to self-correct, but mainly they need to vitalize the intention that there be a peaceful transition of governments from the dictator to the duly elected government. It turns out that the dictator wants to leave, but I don't even have time to go into any of that. So we worked for a long time, and what we found initially, the block was, let's see if I can remember, an awful lot of rage, repressed rage. And as soon as we address that, spaceships that want to help planet Earth started to move in closer. Why? Because the resonance of Venezuela changed from repressed rage because the dictator should have left a year ago. We addressed it with a mantra, several hundred people. That a lot of that was released through the mantra, and the vibration of the country changed. At that point, you can, because of the law of attraction, the country can align with positive galactic help. And that happened. It wasn't what we were looking for. We didn't know what we were looking for. We were just looking to purify so that Venezuela could vitalize their intention that there be a graceful transference of power, a graceful movement, a change of government. They needed to vitalize it, but they've been so repressed with anger. And then afterwards, we found out that they're sitting on an ocean of tears from all the years, 20 years of dictatorship and who knows what before. And we're addressing that later on tonight. But the point is that Venezuela went from really low vibration and not able to help the entire planet move into another frequency, which would apparently be a lead point for other planets. You don't have to believe the story. You're just listening, and that's fine. And if you do that respectfully, that's good enough for me. So I'll go into more details if I think there's more details that you need. The point is that the deadline for this that my masters gave me was the 26th, tomorrow at 7 p.m. New York time. And I didn't look as to what was going to happen at 7 p.m. or if anything. But once I took a nap and I kind of recuperated from the chat, the information that I have is that around that time, Earth is going to have a tremendous break in its crust. And a whole series of things are going to happen to the places that are not very anchored. How did this all start with Venezuela? 2 months ago, I did a chat, and the title of the chat was Catastrophes or Graceful Transition of Government? You can't have both of them, Venezuela. If you don't have a graceful transition of government, you're going to have earthquakes. And today, my followers said earthquakes exactly in the same place that I had identified, that 2 months ago had earthquakes. So anyway, we took care of 2 months ago that instability, but I said, listen, if you don't get a graceful transition of government, you are going to have earthquakes 2 months ago. And then I dropped it. We continued to work. Then today, there were earthquakes, 7.2. And that's when I went in and did the chat. So what is that all about? Purification. The level of rage and depression in Venezuela due to the unfairness of not having their duly elected president reduced the frequency of the entire country, at which time we need catastrophes to clear water and earth, purify. Okay, next, because I'm in a hurry. Let's go over the US map. Okay, it's behind me. It looks glorious. Here we go. At the top it says the deep state is dead. Ha! Oh my God. My family will be free. Florida looks great. Only one coast of Texas, but where Elon has his stuff, it looks great. Where the deep state was a couple of days ago, it's now blue. I don't know why it's blue, but it's blue. And then you have the spiraling counterclockwise of love, the pink, and green, which is heart chakra, healing earth. You have that creating tremendous, like a ripple effect. That ripple effect is going to affect Mexico. Mexico is going to benefit from this. Not that they don't do their own thing, but it is a good thing. A lot of my followers are Mexican. A lot of them resent Trump. And I think we just don't know enough about the other dimensional stuff to really understand, but that's okay. We're not going to go into that. So at the bottom, it says Trump needs love, not problems. Wow. So actually, Trump, the Mantrista movement loves you. And most of them are Hispanic and didn't like it when you started with the whole thing with illegal aliens, but they understand now, or they instinctively know. So we do have a gift for you, Trump, from me and the Mantrista movement. But it's a conditional gift. No, it's a focused gift. So we found out what the vibration of cannabis is. And you know, Trump, I need for you very quickly to legalize cannabis. You need for cannabis to be legalized. The reason why cannabis is important today, it's only been used for 5,000 years in Ayurvedic medicine, 2,000 years in Chinese medicine. But the reason why, Trump, you need cannabis is because it reduces fire. You can't have violence if there's no fire. If you have a lot of people taking cannabis for their stomach issues or for their aches and pains, and a lot of them smoking it socially, you're going to reduce the fire. 450,000 people die from alcohol-related accidents, murders, none related to cannabis. So we have a gift. What's the gift? We created a music video. So we're going to show it to you 3 minutes. And by tomorrow, we should have the 10-hour version, which you can sleep to. But everybody who's listening to this chat, I would like for you to see how your body feels. Get in touch, especially your shoulders, and let me put it on, our gift. to Trump from Francis Fox and the Mantrista movement. Is that something? I wanted to make a music video with the frequency of cannabis. Everything has a frequency, a vibe, a tone, and the frequency is 420. And that frequency is known to relax you and to make you more spiritual in a very relaxed way. The center of that music video, mantra music video you just listened to, is the frequency 420. Can you imagine, Elon, if we can have people from your satellites beam that into their city centers to relax everyone? And maybe we can overcome the disinformation about cannabis, a sacred plant. Somebody does not want for people to be relaxed. Somebody does not want for the cause of violence, which is excess fire, to be reduced. So they had to take out cannabis. So Trump, this is a gift from me and the Mantrista movement. And tomorrow we should have the link for the 10 hours. And you could put it as music in your offices. Did you notice your shoulders, how they relaxed? Did you notice how your breathing improved? And Trump, when I listened to this yesterday, or the day before, don't know which day it was, when I decided to dedicate this to you, I could see how you have muscles in your solar plexus, which is where all the digestive organs are. I could see them unwinding and relaxing. I could see the conduits between your organs relaxing. So if you have any digestive issues, listening to this is going to make a big difference. Scientists have said, and apparently there's no question, that sound is the best healer of all the choices that you can make. So I hope you enjoy the gift, and maybe we can get over the fuddy-duddies that bought into the whole disinformation on cannabis and make it available to everybody, and figure out some way to get it to more people that wouldn't understand, because there really is no time to continue with the violence. We can't build more jails. I hope you enjoy the gift. Lawsuits. I told you about my last chapter in my book. And that night and the next day, I could see people in Grove Isle hysterical about the prices of their condos going down because of the reputation, which is based on reality, and how they were going to sue me to see if they could get me to be quiet. Well, that's not such a great idea, because 5 years ago, you broke a lot of laws, your administration, that you did not supervise sufficiently. So if anybody's going to sue, it's going to be me. So make sure you have all your information before you jerk your lawyers around. Okay? Also, my family. I think that the deep state is dead. But there's an issue, because I have been talking about the Cuban mafia. I'm half Cuban, half German. I'm not talking about Cubans. I'm talking about a particular group that the US government set up in the Bay of Pigs. But there's going to be a lot of Cubans that are not going to understand it, and are going to think that I'm trashing the Cuban reputation. So, guerra avisada no mata soldado. That's an expression in Spanish that means if you tell people about war, maybe soldiers don't need to die. So, whoever thinks they're going to go after me or punish me via my children or my grandchildren or my friends or my boyfriend, you need to think twice about it. If you think that somebody who has managed to survive while identifying the deepest enemies of this country and of my family, but of this country, and I'm still standing, if you think that I'm not going to go after you, if you try to punish anybody that I love or like or care for because of what I have done, you really need to move not to a different zip code. You need to move to a different galaxy. And I'm not sure you're safe there, because I was taught a lot of things about off planet. And if you think I'm never going to find out about it because of your blackmail, why don't you ask the Cuban mafia, who still can't understand how I could possibly know all of their moves? So you figure it out. I'm not trashing the Cuban reputation. On the contrary, if this had been found out in a different way, the Cuban reputation would have been trashed. But we need to look at who was handling and controlling this group, who set them up to turn them into animals. And it wasn't Cubans. So I need to leave, because I have something else to do, which is, what am I doing? Oh, I discovered something incredible. We have a coccyx. If it vibrates at the frequency of 988, it connects with magnetic resonance to the third pyramid in Egypt. And you're set up to be magical. Our houses have coccyx, and they're all tied up. But today, I discovered that businesses have a coccyx. And chances are, if it's big and struggling, or if it's got a lot of problems, that coccyx is compromised. And if you clear that, basically you clear everything. And it all has to do with the tree of life and how reality is constructed, but I don't have time to tell you more about it today. So your house has a coccyx, and your business has a coccyx. How is it doing? You don't know? I don't either, but today I found a very large business with a compromised coccyx that needs to be resolved. And once that's resolved, it's magic. Okay? I'm Frances Fox, and thank you for listening. Bye.